Oh, it's here. It's happening. You know what? We are Reclaim Your Power, episode 2. This is like a mini series about perimenopause and menopause. So if you're a woman and you don't think that this is interesting or you don't need it in your part of life right now, girl, you do.
And if you're a man and your partner is going through perimenopause and menopause, you need to be interested in this right now.
You so do.
This is like golden, right? For all you men out there, this is golden, golden, golden.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So today we're going to be diving into the incredibly important topic that's really going to help you understand the
Mm.
changes that are happening in your body during menopause. And basically, we're going to be discussing the hormone shifts that are taking place,
Ooh.
specifically estrogen and progesterone.
So what's happening to your hormones as you go through perimenopause and get to menopause?
And then hopefully we'll give you some solutions that may help. So first of all, maybe you'll understand what's happening, how your body feels, what's going on for you, and then give you a few solutions that might actually just help you to manage through this change. Because it's not about being the hero and suffering through like your mother, your grandmother, your great grandmother, your great great grandmother did. But it's actually about trying to make this a lot simpler and easier,
Mhm.
and we can actually go through this a lot better. So we can sit
Before we
back.
get started, I want to high five, double high five, like quadruple high five to all of the people that private messaged us.
Wow, so
Unbelievable how many women have shared their experience with us, how many people have messaged us to say thank you for finally getting this out there. I wish I had known this earlier. Other people, thank you. Betty has turned around and just said, as a mum, we need to know this stuff because, I've got 3 daughters and I need to make sure I know what I'm doing so that my daughters don't go through what I went through. And that's true. So I want to say thank you to everyone that's supporting this podcast right now. Thanks to everyone that's sharing it out.
yeah.
And any comments or any suggestions or any questions at all whatsoever, please pop them on the YouTube channel. It's probably the easiest, or
Yeah.
private message us, and we will try to address it in this 6 week series.
Absolutely. I mean,
Oh, it's fun.
this is ever evolving. Like we know what we're going to be covering. We've got the
Mm.
basics, but it's actually hearing from women just like you who might have something specific that's really frustrating where you're not sure if is this related. And let's talk about these things. The whole idea of this podcast
Mm.
is to be more out there and look, this is make this a normal conversation for women to be having rather than something that people are ashamed to talk about.
There's
So
no
let's do it.
shame. I've told everyone I've been in menopause for God knows how many years, not knowing that it was perimenopause, like having a hysterectomy at age 30 meant obviously I was going to go into early menopause, so they say, and I went on bioidentical hormones. And at that time, HRT, the study that they did, I think it was 2002 that they did. The finding it came out with if you're on HRT that it's 30% more likely that you're going to get breast cancer. So HRT was just like a whoop.
This is banned.
You're not allowed it, you can't have it, and all of these, side effects. But the most common one was breast cancer. And that's now being debunked, and we're going to go into a little bit of that later on through the mini series. So we want to hear from you. What are you taking, and how have you found it? So at the end of this, that's what we'd like to hear. So I'm going to remind you
Yeah, at the end.
now before
Now.
you forget. All right, now you can start. Sam, I'm going to have a drink.
Okay, so I guess
Cheers.
understanding how hormones like estrogen and progesterone fluctuate during menopause
Hmm.
offers like a lot of benefits. I just wanted to go through it. Like, why is this important for us, really?
Absolutely.
Firstly, it helps you feel more in control of your body, allowing you to make informed decisions about your health rather than just thinking you're going crazy or something, you don't know what's wrong with you and you don't want to be a hypochondriac, so you don't talk about it. So it's having that information.
Hmm.
Secondly,
True.
it's about recognizing the connection between hormonal changes and symptoms. Like you got your mood swings,
Fatigue.
fatigue, you've got
Yeah.
anxiety. Like so many people are noticing anxiety going up, which is making the whole experience less overwhelming when you understand it. Recognizing it is
Knowledge is power,
huge.
man. Knowledge is power. What's potential power? It's not until you take action,
Yeah,
as Tony
that's
Robbins
right.
says.
And
Finally,
and finally, it empowers you to explore different treatment options. Like what are the lifestyle adjustments you can make? Or are there
mm,
hormonal replacement therapies you can go on? Or are there some natural things you can do? What could you be doing that's actually going to make this easier on you rather than suffering through, right? You don't need to hold a flag at the top of Mount Everest and say, I made it through menopause, right? Let's just take the gondola up to the top. Let's just keep it simple. Yeah.
Wow.
So knowledge is power. And today we're going to give you that power. So hopefully you can
On a
walk
gondola.
away. On the gondola. We're not hiking up Mount Everest. We're taking the gondola ride. Okay. Scenic route, photographs and all.
Okay, well, we're going to start with understanding what our hormonal fluctuations are and, giving a breakdown of estrogen and progesterone. Like, what do they do and what are they responsible for? Because I know for me, I've been told, like, I was the person that ended up with fibroids that had 2 periods, sometimes 3 periods in 1 month, and then no periods for 2 or 3 months. Then I was the person that had massive clots that thought they were dying. And I don't say that sarcastically. I literally thought I was dying. It was like I was hemorrhaging. So at 30, they had discovered that I had fibroids and that I would have a hysterectomy. So I was always told that I was estrogen dominant. Now, I didn't really know what that meant, but I knew that I had more estrogen and that was responsible for the fibroids. So today we're going to explain what symptom, no, it is symptoms, isn't it? What symptoms we're getting from estrogen and what we're getting from progesterone, because they are two different hormones.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess let's start with estrogen because it's probably the most common one that we know of. So the effects of lowering estrogen, they play a significant role, or estrogen plays a significant role in regulating many of the functions of the body. So when this level drops during perimenopause or through the whole menopause time, which could be anywhere from 10 years, could be
15, 20
it's a long
years.
time. It leads to a wide range of different symptoms. So we just covered probably the most popular ones. If you want, there's a massive list. You can go through last week's episode. We talked about the whole list and we went through it. But these are probably the most common ones.
You can just, I think, did you attach that last
I
week?
did, yeah. You can
So
actually.
if you do want the list, before you have a
list.
conversation with the doctor, go through it so that you know these are the symptoms that I'm experiencing. Anyway.
Yeah, and you can just download that from the YouTube, the links.
So many on there that probably you may not be aware of, like tinnitus, like frozen shoulder, like sleep apnea. Like, come on, people. All right.
So I guess the difference between last week's list and this one is last week was during menopause, these are all the symptoms. During menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, these are all the symptoms. Now we're talking specifically about lowering estrogen. So one of the main things is most people are going to have hot flushes and the night sweats. Now, one of the most common symptoms is that sort of flashes that occur due to that rolling estrogen when you're going through that when you're going through that menopausal phase, and it's the fluctuation of your body temperature.
You're not able to regulate.
So it gets all over the place.
Just goes up and down.
Now, we actually found out that 75 to 80% of women experience hot flashes during perimenopause and early menopause. So when they say early menopause, it's those early stages, which is perimenopause.
Like 75 to 80% of women have this and no one talks about it. It's just like we all go through it, but no one discusses it. It's like we try and secret squirrel our way out of it and find the doctors that may be listening. And fortunately for me, I have a hormone specialist since I was 30, and I invest in my hormone specialist. So when I experienced it, I didn't have a lot of the situations and gaslighting that a lot of the women have explained to us this week and throughout, our years of having a women's only gym. But this is something that women tend to go through. They can feel really isolated. They're changing sheets, having showers. Like one of our clients about 4 or 5 years ago was changing her sheets 5 times a night. So you should just wake up dripping in sweat and with the shakes. And no one talks about it. No one talks about it. So we all try to find out how we can navigate this. But it's a 75 to 80% of women are going to go through it. We need to normalize it. We need to have strategies so that we can get through this in the best shape and way possible. I believe 100%.
Yeah. Next one.
Oh, vaginal dryness and atrophy. Now, well, how many women, like we're just going to get deep and dirty.
Straight in.
And when I say deep and dirty, I mean we're just going to unpack all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
How many women have leakage issues? Like so many women are now wearing pads. I'm coughing. I can't do star jumps anymore. Like all of it. Again, women hide that. Women are having surgeries now. They're getting mesh put down there so that they, not stress when they're coughing or sneezing or doing exercises. I remember when we had the rebounders at the club, so many of our women were saying, actually, I can't do it because I'm just going to have, or we, not only can I not do it, but as soon as we did star jumps in like a boxing class or something, half of the class would evacuate to the toilets. And one of the reasons for this is because it atrophies. So what does that mean? It means that we don't have the puffiness or the swelling, so it becomes smaller in there. The actual structure gets smaller. People don't tell us this, and it freaking sucks. Like, again, so many women go through this, and there's so much shame around this. Well, enough is enough. We need to know. Like, we all know that there's going to be sanitary pads and tampons when we get our period, but nobody warns us about this, and I'm over it.
Yeah.
Like, we do it one-on-one with our clients, with our personal training clients, with our coaching clients, and we need to normalize it. So, yeah, and the other thing, I guess, is when the tissues become thinner and drier, that means that when we're having sex, it can be really uncomfortable. Women don't talk about that either. They may do a little bit with their best friend, but this is the stuff that we need to normalize. So, men, if you're listening, keep listening. I told you, you're welcome.
I think the biggest thing I don't know is women are embarrassed to talk about these things. So they try and hide it away and they don't want to talk to anybody about it because it's embarrassing. But actually, when you talk about it and you realize that so many people are going through this, you're not alone. You're not the only one. So if we can actually start those conversations and people are feeling more comfortable, it just means that everybody realizes that I'm not the only one that has this. Most of the women that I'm talking to have got 1, 2, 3, if not all of the symptoms that you personally are having.
I wish to God someone had said to me, you're going to go into early perimenopause due to the fact that I had a hysterectomy early, right? You're going to end up with night sweats. Like, I did not think in my 40s I would be having night sweats. Like, come on. Okay, moving on.
All right. The next one is bone density loss. So estrogen helps in maintaining the bone strength, right, by regulating the turnover of bone tissue. So it just helps you producing more bone tissue, keeping your bone strong. So when you have lower levels, it leads to osteoporosis, and then you're at really high risk of fractures. Now, there's this stat that came up, which just blew my mind. I had to share it with you. That when
It's huge.
women can lose up to 20% of their bone density within 5 to 7 years after menopause. So 5 to 7 years after you've stopped. So I've stopped your period for 12 months. So
Remember
the day
that
of
official
menopause.
day?
So 12 months of not having a period, boom, that's called menopause.
Within
5 to
7
7 years of that, you are likely 20% to lose 20% of your body bone density. I keep calling it bone density. That's huge. That's massive risk of osteoporosis and then fractures.
So that increases the risk of osteoporosis and fractures. And one of the other common things is women aren't getting their bone density tested. They're not getting it done. So someone like me who has osteopenia, due to prednisone, what do they call it? Long-term use, right? I'm already struggling with osteopenia of the spine. On top of that, menopause, 20%, right? That's an option as well because I went into early perimenopause, hit menopause, and now put another 20% on that. Like, if I didn't know that, what could happen? Before long, I'm going to have osteoporosis. And the interesting thing is that doctors have said to me after I did my bone scan earlier this year that I requested, right? I was told, well, it's great. We thought it would be a lot worse. Wasn't that true?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely
it's great.
insane.
You don't have osteopenia of the hips. You've only got it of the spine. Are you fucking for real? You only
And
You're
you expected it to be worse, but yet we're the ones that requested the actual test in the first place.
Are you for fucking real? Like, no, this is what you need to do about it. No, how do I prevent osteoporosis now? None of it. So there was no education. I was like, I am the person that is obsessed about health, and I am the person that will research every possible thing, right? Like, I read the books, I do the podcast. Like, Sam's just like, you'll just Google it and you'll get the answer. But I shouldn't have to. Like, where is preventative health care in this country, let alone in any country? Anyway, that was my rant this time.
Excellent. All right, mood changes.
So be careful, ladies. That's what I'm saying. Be careful.
Mood changes. Estrogen has an impact on serotonin. Now, serotonin is your happy hormone. This is the one that's uplifting and makes you feel good. So when your estrogen levels decreased, that's why you start having the mood swings, the irritability, and even it can get into depression because you're not getting that serotonin release like you used to. Right? So that's a big...
Please tell us about cognitive changes. Number 5.
Okay.
This is important.
Okay, it has neuroprotective qualities. So it's basically the neuro is the brain protecting qualities. So this decline can contribute to brain fog, memory issues, and then challenges with concentration.
I don't know about you, but if you've ever been in a situation where you know someone really well, and it may even happen at the gym, you know their name, you may have even had breakfast with them last week, and you forget their name. This is it. That's what we're talking about. Or all of a sudden, people are saying, I left my keys somewhere, I couldn't find them.
I put something in the fridge and you don't know why you're there. And then you have to backtrack and go back to the first place and stand there for a while and try and figure out why you went into that room.
Now, I do that all the time, all the time. Now, I mean, obviously mine is also contributing to liver disease, right, and autoimmune. Also, on top of that, menopause. So this is what you may hear. Oh, you're just getting old. No. Age gracefully. Like, don't be like, you're getting old. Really? When is old?
No, it's actually, you're not getting old. You're going through perimenopause. I think that's the language that needs to change. We use
100%.
My knees are sore. I've got the night sweats. I'm not sleeping. I can't fall asleep. I can't remember stuff.
My ears are ringing.
We all go, you're getting old. It's actually not you're getting old. It's you're now in the age group that's going through perimenopause and its hormones are changing. Right?
And it's going to get better.
It's going to get better.
Like, it's going to be the best part of your life. But yeah, you're right. The language just needs to change.
You're not getting old. You're going through perimenopause. So, and it's so much easier to deal with it because it's like a condition rather than an age, right?
And it's also just a decline. And what's the thing? So this is my brain fog. What is that thing?
It's a bell curve.
So, they're going up and down. They're fluctuating.
Yeah.
Help me out. It's like charades.
I don't want them to... But the worst thing is up to 60% of women report experiencing cognitive issues during this time. So you're out of every 10 women, 6 of you are going to be struggling to remember why you walked into the room. That's a big statistic.
And I'm gonna challenge that statistic, even though it is a statistic and it's a right statistic. I reckon so many women never admit it.
Oh, 100%.
So if 60% are actually got the courage to admit that they're having memory lapses, that they're struggling with brain fog, that they're not remembering what happened yesterday, today, whatever, I reckon that the stats are higher.
Yeah, because they don't remember that they didn't remember.
Huge.
So.
Do you do that to me? He doesn't even remember what she remembered.
She doesn't remember.
Okay. And skin changes.
Yeah. So your skin elasticity and hydration changes. So the skin becomes thinner. Wrinkles start coming, and you reduce collagen in the skin. So you kind of know, because when you're young and you pull your skin up, it bounces back really quickly. When you start to get into that lowering estrogen, you'll have less elasticity, and that skin might stay up a little bit longer, or crunch up, or look drier. All those things you notice in your skin.
Why we need to have collagen and why we have it at the gym. Isn't that right? Collagen. All right.
So then basically let's have a look at progesterone. So progesterone, when this lowers, this also has an impact on the balance of the body. Though decline tends to have different effects compared to estrogen, right? So it's different. So one of the things that happens with lowering progesterone is sleep disruptions. So progesterone calms the brain. It has a calming effect on the brain. So it acts like a natural sedative, right? And as the levels drop, you
Mm.
start experiencing more difficulty falling and staying asleep. So I've heard a lot of my clients over the years saying, I can fall asleep at 9 o'clock, but then I wake up at 11 and I can't go back to sleep
I
again.
wake up at 3 or
Yeah.
yeah, go into a deep sleep.
Yeah, so it's that, and then not being able to go back to sleep again once you've woken up in the middle of the night, which
Mm.
becomes an issue if you're the type of person that has to get up and have a pee in the middle of the night every night. So you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning for a pee, and then you lie there with your eyes wide open, you can't fall asleep. So it has this is where your problem with insomnia and poor sleep quality really kicks in, which, as you can imagine, is not great for your mental, what do you call it? Cognitive theory either, because you can't
I
remember
can't charade that one scene.
your brain fog and all that because you're not getting much sleep. So that those two kind of pick together.
And the other one is increased anxiety. And when the progesterone lowers, it can cause you increase in anxiety, which gives you feelings of being on edge, right? And it's also you can be really reactive and you can have outbursts and you can not feel like yourself. It's like everything is racing all the time. You live a lot more in the future and it's like everything's fast. And this is really, 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 really common. And a lot of women don't register that this is part of the perimenopause and menopause cycle. So for me, I struggled with hugely with anxiety, depression, and agoraphobia when I was 28. So all of that hit me out of the blue when I was 28. Guess why? Hormone fluctuations.
So you know how I said at the beginning she was estrogen dominant. So what we found out, this I think it was just about a month ago, is that estrogen dominance doesn't usually mean that you make more estrogen, too much estrogen. It usually means that your progesterone levels are lowering, which makes your estrogen higher than your progesterone.
It
So you
doesn't mean you're
become
producing more.
so you're not producing lots more estrogen, and there may be very specific situations where people do, but on average, estrogen dominance usually means that you have low progesterone, making your estrogen higher. And therefore she had, because the progesterone was low, anxiety, depression, agoraphobia.
And the other thing is, for me personally, and you may experience it too, is you feel out of control. Like, how can I explain it? Like everything is not only racing, but you're indecisive, highly reactive, and you can't do what you used to be able to do. Like little things, like I ended up agoraphobic. I couldn't actually leave the house for close on 2 years. It was a horrendous part of my life and also the best part of my life because obviously, that's what got me into women's health and the gym industry, etc. But no one told me. No one told me. I had 7 doctors that wanted me on an antidepressant, and I was the one that requested a hormone check. I was the one that had to say to a doctor, I was living in Australia at the time, and I just came back to New Zealand. I was just like, this is anxiety. I have an anxiety disorder, like sort it out. And then they tested. And that's how we all of a sudden, 2 years later, Ursha's got fibroids. We're going to have to do something about it. So, at 28, and they're a woman going through it a lot earlier now, there's no support. There's no education. People aren't testing for hormones. And that can make you feel isolated, alone, just so disconnected and disassociated from society. And it's a shit place to be. So if that's you, then I want you to know that this is a simple fix. It is a hormone imbalance. It's not you going mental. Like I seriously thought I was going to, they have to put me in a straitjacket in order to get through the day. The thinking was horrendous. Like it was a really hard, challenging time. So please know that if you have experienced any of those symptoms or are experiencing it right now, I feel you, I get you. There is help available. And if it's as simple as getting your hormones balanced, then that is going to just transform your whole being, your whole life, your thinking, your world will just change. It really will. All right.
Cool. So the third one is changes in your menstrual cycle. So progesterone is the one that's responsible for the whole irregularity of your period. So when progesterone levels drop, you get an irregular period. Often they're heavy or they're long, like really prolonged periods. And the body is shifting like this during that perimenopausal phase. Now, there are a lot of women that start getting this much earlier on. So if you've got any conditions like PCOS and what's the other one?
What's anything here, please?
There's another, like the aligning of anyways, can't remember it right now. But when you're going through that early on in life, you could also be having, anyway, you can have these irregular symptoms as well, usually also caused by lower progesterone. But during that perimenopause phase, it is natural for all women to have a reduction in testosterone. Oh, God, progesterone.
You need to have more of your soda.
I'm having my brain fog. It's really kicking in right now.
The other one is water retention and bloating.
Some water.
Progesterone helps to regulate the fluid balance in your body. So all of a sudden you're getting puffy, right? And all of a sudden you're getting bloated. You're eating the same, you're training the same, you may even be sleeping the same, and your periods are almost the same, and you think that you're getting fatter. No, it's water retention. Yeah. Up to how many? Give me a percent.
Oh, yeah. Like 30 to 40% of women experience it during perimenopause and into those menopausal phases after.
And I think that women aren't reporting this because they're not understanding that this is symptoms for perimenopause when they're going through that part of this journey.
Absolutely. And then the last one we've got here is breast tenderness.
Very common.
So when you have a drop in progesterone, sometimes can lead to the tenderness in the breast and discomfort. And as estrogens become sort of more dominant because the progesterones have dropped. And what they found out is like basically 50% of women experience that. Right? So if you notice you've got some breast tenderness you never used to have before, that could be exactly what it is. Your progesterone levels are lowering. And there you go.
And it's just simple, like you may notice it like if you've had a massage and then you have to lie on a table. It's never been a problem before, and then all of a sudden it's really annoying. So simple little things that maybe you haven't been thinking about. So what's the combined effects of both of them?
So I guess women can experience more intense symptoms when both of them are lowering. So everything is exasperated. So like the mood swings are worse.
Mood swings.
The fatigue is crazy. You have weight gain due to the metabolic changes, right? And the imbalance between the two hormones, it often drives a complex array of symptoms associated with menopause. So I guess to summarize it.
Simplifies.
Simplifies.
That is a new word when you have low estrogen and progesterone. What was it?
The simplifies.
Simplifies.
We're going to simplifies it right now.
Simplifies. I like it.
So estrogen decline tends to cause more physical symptoms, while progesterone reductions associate more with emotional and mental changes.
So remember when we spoke last week about the symptoms, so if it's physical, like everything becomes sore and tight and restricted, like our joints do, the frozen shoulder, the TMJ, the tinnitus, like all of those things, right, are physical. Physical
muscle
symptoms.
Bones,
and when we're becoming really reactive and forgetful and
emotional,
anxious and anxiety and not sleeping, emotional and mental changes. Just keep it real simple.
So when you understand this, the two roles of the hormones, it gives you a better sort of understanding on how to manage the symptoms. And also when you're looking at having conversations with any sort of your doctor or with a therapist or with a naturopath or whoever you're talking to, you can actually say, I think I might be having a reduction in progesterone because I've got I'm getting really anxious and I'm really struggling with this and this. Or I think that my estrogen may be dropping because I'm really noticing that I'm losing muscle strength and my bones I'm getting this, like you can actually talk about the right things rather than just saying, I think I'm getting old, I'm crazy.
Because you're not going crazy.
No. So now that we've talked a little bit about the shifting of estrogen and progesterone and how they affect the body and the mind, let's dive a little bit into the practical solutions. So what could you do? What are the things that you can take control of to help try and navigate this and make it all a little bit easier?
So we've got 5 that we're going to briefly go over. We've got HRT, we've got physical exercise, we've got sleep, we've got mind and body practices, and we've got natural herb supplements. So Let's start with HRT and
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, so HRT is that the hormone replacement therapy.
It's also called menopause therapy, isn't it? Menopause. I can't think offhand, but menopause
MTR. I think it's called MTR, menopause treatment remedies or something like that. Yeah.
Regardless, in New Zealand, most of us know it as HRT.
Now it can be really effective for reducing the symptoms like hot flushes, night sweats, and protecting against bone loss. Right. So those are like three of the major things that most of us really go through, majority of people. However, it's really important that you weigh up the benefits and the potential risks because not everybody can go on HRT. If you've got other health conditions, you may not be able to. There are also different types of HRT now that you can get. There's the gels, there's tablets, and there's creams and all sorts. So if you feel the need to be able to go on to something like this to help support, especially if you're really, some people go through menopause tough, like really tough, and some people go through it pretty cruisy easy. So rather than suffering through it, it might be a really good discussion to have with your doctor about is HRT is that something that actually is going to help you through this process and get you through it? And is it the right thing for you? Because it's not always the right thing for everybody.
And HRT now is more readily available, and in saying that, if you have a GP that hasn't done the latest research, they still might be living in the false belief that HRT is going to increase breast cancer. And, for someone like me, HRT, having liver disease, is not an option. So I can't take HRT. For anyone that has had breast cancer, it's actually not an option. But a lot of the stigmas around HRT have, been debunked. And it's actually a lot of women now are using it for bone density and for brain fog. So it may be an option. Do the homework.
Yeah, I mean, my mum is 82. She started HRT when she was in her early 40s. I'm not exactly what year, but early 40s. So she's been on HRT now for almost 40 years. And she takes a small, small dose now. And she said to her doctor, I think it was about 3, 4 years ago, do I really need to take it? I'm now like late 70s. I haven't had, I must be well and truly over it. And he said, look, she was taking like half a tablet twice a week or something. And she came off her HRT and she said within 6 months she went back to the doctor and said, hell no, you got to put me back on the shit. I don't even like myself, let alone my poor husband having to deal with me. So mum went back on it. And so she has been on very low dose HRT now for basically about 40 years. So, it can really, really help. She said there's no way she's going to stop because it's not worth living with herself. And so that cracked me up.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there you go. Physical exercise. I actually think there should be a whole separate podcast.
We actually do have a whole, I think next week's podcast is associated with this. So this is a big segment, but we had to put it in there. Exercise is a really powerful tool to manage your menopause symptoms, right? Not only does the activity help with regulating your mood and your energy levels, because when you exercise, you release serotonin, which is a happy, happy hormone.
And dopamine.
And dopamine comes out happy, happy. All right, so you have all those, and it increases your energy level because it reduces anxiety and depression, which is great. So that works the opposite of what progesterone lowering is doing, right? So it counteracts that a little bit. But it also helps to improve your cardiovascular health. And this is really important because we know that with perimenopause, women are at risk of cardiovascular disease. And it also helps with weight gain, which is another side effect, and muscle loss, which is a side effect of going through perimenopause. So there's like a threefold reason why you should be very active. Strength training and weight-bearing exercises are particularly important.
And I guess what tends to happen, and what we've seen, a trend, is that as women age, they move more away from weights. So, like in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, it was about, 5 to 15 classes of cardio a week, just cardioing it and getting skinny, 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 right? This is the mentality of like, just do more so you can lose more weight. Now it's about how can I be stronger? Nobody gives a shit about being skinny, and we shouldn't give a shit about being skinny because, as we all know, the more cardio you do, the worse it's going to be for your body, and your body's going to store it because excess cardio is making your body stressed. You're moving into that fight or flight. So not only is that hazardous for women in perimenopause and going through menopause, it also increases the fight or flight. Your adrenaline's going mental. So we've got to pull back. We've got to build that bone density. We've got to have the muscle support. We've got to focus on, getting that muscle so that we have the strength. Isn't that interesting? So we've gone from skinny to strong. Why didn't we start it strong?
I know, we should have done strong right at the beginning.
Should have. Yeah, everyone should have. We should have done it. And we were doing weight training. But it's like we get into some obsessive, keep doing more cardio. Okay, sleep optimization.
Quality sleep can be a real challenge when you're in menopause due to the fluctuating hormones, which we talked about, night sweats, anxiety, all of that sort of stuff. So you've got to have a really good sleep routine. So 3 things you can do is 1, limit your screen time before bed. So, I mean, I think the thing that is like an hour before you go to bed, your phone should be put away and you don't look at it. So you don't look at any screens. Or the other option is even to wear the blue block glasses. So you stop the blue light from getting into the retina, which wakes up your body.
So I use sunglasses and blue blocks from 7.
Earlier
so all our lights are dimmed in this house. Screen time, a little bit guilty lately of being on screen late at night, which does have an impact. So get rid of it. Eye mask.
Yep, eye mask. Make the room as dark as you can because you want to be in a dark space. Light wakes you up, right? So at nighttime, like having the lights dimmed in your house rather than full ball. Using candles. That's nice and romantic. Put candles out so you get it. Then using calming rituals, like having like a herbal tea, like a chamomile tea, or using essential oils like lavender to try and just calm your nervous system down so that you go into like a rest state. And then the other thing is making sure that your bedroom is both cool and dark when you go to bed, right? It's really important so that you are getting into a comfortable space that's relaxing.
The other thing is, yin yoga. We do yin yoga at our club on a Monday night. Why? So that our women can go home and have a good night's sleep. It moves you out of fight or flight and brings you into rest and digest. So meditation at nighttime, breath work at nighttime, yin yoga at nighttime, like allowing the body to go out of that fighting, doing, and just being. And most of us, when we're watching TV, are watching lots of the hard, fast stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's part of that mind-body practice.
True.
Right? So you wanted to, the whole idea of doing the breath work and all that is about reducing or regulating the nervous system.
I jumped ahead.
Reducing your stress.
This is a surprise.
Which will improve your sleep and should actually help with the disruptions of the night sweats and the hormonal fluctuations.
100%. Yeah.
And then the last one is using natural herbal supplements. So for those of you who don't want to go the medical route or the the prescription drug route or whatever, and would like something more herbal, you can use things like ashwagandha, rhodalia, and maca root.
And I've tried both of them and
3 of them, 2 of them. Yeah, maca as well, didn't you?
Oh, I did because I just put in shakes.
Yeah.
I have to say I didn't notice a change. I still did them, but didn't notice a change.
And so maybe they do. They're supposed to balance your hormone levels naturally and reduce stress.
And also my situation and my circumstances are not the same as Sam's. So each of us, as we go through this journey, are unique. So please, regardless of whatever me and Sam are doing, what's going to work best for you and your situation?
So basically, we wanted to wrap up today's episode, which is all about hormone changes during menopause, especially the fluctuating estrogen and progesterone, right? So that's what it was all about today.
And also giving you back your power by giving you some education about what are the effects of declining estrogen and declining progesterone. So are you noticing that your mood swings are pretty erratic? Are you noticing that you're forgetting things and you can't concentrate like you once did? Are you struggling at work when you're doing work and all of a sudden you've got 4 projects on the go? You used to smash them out before and now you have to do one thing at a time. Like it's giving you a better understanding of how your body is operating when you're going through perimenopause or postmenopause.
And the beautiful thing is now you have more confidence in knowing that you're not going crazy. And you're not
Certainly
getting
not going crazy.
old. Your hormones just changing. And what I find is once you know, you can't unknow, unless you got brain fog, and then you might forget. But generally,
This is the common thing I say to Sam. I'll say something and I go, have I already told you this? Do I already know this? She's like, yes, babe.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's what. Do I already know this? Do you find yourself saying that? Because if you do, you could be like me. A little bit estrogen low, a little bit of progesterone low.
Anyway, so hopefully, I'm hoping that you found today's information like informative and empowering. That's really important to us. And also, just to let you know that next week we're going to be discussing the physical
Yes, I knew it.
transformation that women will experience during menopause. So, what's changing in your body, including weight gain, your metabolism, and your bone density, and really sort of dig deeper into that so you have a much stronger
We're gonna get
understanding.
dirty and deep. I like it. I like it.
So, until then, thank you for jumping on with us today on the Mind Fitness Mentor podcast.
Please don't forget to share this out. Write any comments that you would love to share with us. What we would love is, what has your experience been? You know, how many doctors have you been to? Maybe, you know, you struggle with polycystic ovaries or fibroids. Maybe you had a hysterectomy early. Maybe you went into early perimenopause because of breast cancer. Like, what is your story and what challenges did you have to overcome? Because that helps us plan the next ones. Even though we've got a structure, because I forget about the structure, of course, I just ask Sam, what's our structure this week? Right? We can fit that in so that we can help answer your questions, share your experiences, so that we can normalize this for other women so that they don't have to struggle like we did. That's really important to us. We just want to be able to give you the information so that you can make a change in your life, an educated guess actually, on what is going to best suit you for you as you transition and navigate this amazing period in your life right now.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be like rah and like shut down and isolate and be really afraid of it. It's like, this is what's happening. And by having that education, you get to take your power back. So until next week, sharing is caring. Get it out there. Let's normalize menopause, for God's sake, because I'm over people just not talking about it and just having the private conversations, right?
Oh my gosh.
You
It's
don't
crazy,
need to.
Will.
We can just talk about it amongst
You know what? 50% of the world is going through this at some stage, right? We're all going to go through it, girls.
Being there, doing that.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Thanks,
until
everybody.
next week.
Bye.